Today I am finally bringing you my top 10 movies I watched in 2020, along with my top 10 least favourite movies I watched in 2020. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews, book to movie content here at the weekend. Although I did make a book versus movie video for you last week, so I will leave that linked up above. Most of the films I am going to be talking about today, if not all of the films I'm going to be talking about today, I have full reviews of here on this channel, so I will try and link those videos in the description box below. Alternatively, you can check out my movie reviews playlist, which I will leave linked up above as well, because yes, I give you my full thoughts on why these films have made it either into my top 10 or bottom 10 movies of the year. Before we get started as well, I would like to hear from you. I would like to know what videos you would like to see from me in 2020. Are there particular books or movies or formats that you want to see here on this channel? Let me know in the comments, because we've got a whole year to play with. It's very exciting. It's an exciting time to be in, and that's all we're saying about that. So it was interesting making this list, because for the beginning of the year I had to look at my movie tickets, look at my Fandango app and my AMC app and my Regal app and be like, when did I go to the cinema? And then from then onwards I basically just looked at my own movie reviews playlist to find out what I liked and what I didn't like, because I definitely saw significantly less films in 2020 than I did in 2019. I don't know why that could be, but I decided that I would put in my top 10 and my bottom 10 in the one video, since it was difficult to kind of come up with anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on the positive note. We are going to start with my top 10 movies of the year, and then I'll leave a timestamp in the description as to when I start talking about my least favourite movies of the year. So starting with Birds of Prey, this is one that I saw multiple times in the cinema. I saw it in I think I saw it in IMAX, and then I saw it in regular cinema, and it's one that I would watch on my own at home as well, and I really enjoyed this. It's one of the very few DC movies that I actually enjoyed. If you saw my recent review of Wonder Woman, you'll know that I much prefer Marvel over DC. I'm very excited about WandaVision, but I just really enjoyed the kind of girl power aspect of Birds of Prey, or the emancipation of one Harley Quinn, and yeah, I just thought it was a really fun movie. It had a bit of everything, and it's definitely one of my top 10 of the year. Then obviously this is going to come as no surprise, Little Women is also one of my top 10 films of the year. I did not see this when it came out on Christmas Day in 2019, but I did however see it 3 times at the beginning of 2020. I feel so lucky that I managed to see this film 3 times in cinemas before everything closed in March. Very excited to be able to say that. I think I had a ticket to see it a 4th time, but it was super snowy, so I stayed at home instead. Obviously regretting that. I am a massive fan of the Winona Ryder version of Little Women, and so for it to be one of my top 10 movies of the year speaks highly of it. I think that watching the 2 back to back would be a really nice thing, but I loved this movie and the capes that came with it. I'm on the lookout for capes, so if you know any good places I can buy a cape so I can be like Amy March, then let me know. Then another film that I saw really early on in the year, and the first sort of Disney offering, we have Onwards. This was one of the last films that I saw before cinemas shut. It was the penultimate film actually I saw before cinemas shut, and I kind of wish it had been the last one. I wish I'd made it happen, so I just went to see it again before everything closed down. But this one is now on Disney Plus, so you can watch it for yourself. But I mean, Tom Holland and Chris Pratt voicing animated characters together, just that's all you need to know. It is a lovely film. You can see it for yourself if you have Disney Plus. I just really enjoyed it. And it's something I haven't watched again, partly because it was the penultimate film I watched before everything closed. So it has certain memories attached to it. But I think now that we're in a new year, I need to make an effort and maybe watch that again tonight. Then we have another film that you can stream. This is a film that came on to Netflix this year, and I do have a whole standalone movie review talking about it, as with everything else on this list, and that is Rising Phoenix, which is a documentary about the Paralympics, and specifically looking at the rise of kind of fan attendance to the Paralympic Games in the 2012 Olympics, which kind of is one of the reasons why it's so special to me, because I did manage to go and see the Paralympic Marathon in London as part of the 2012 Olympics, and wish I'd been able to see more events, but it was just an amazing documentary. It had that perfect balance of like actual footage, kind of like people who were there talking about it and other talking heads, and the level of drama wasn't too high. It was like a decent documentary that just gave you like some facts and some human interest stories, and I really enjoyed that. And if you haven't already streamed it on Netflix, I do recommend it. And then coming back to cinema watching, we have 1917, which, again, for a war film to be part of my top 10 films of the year is quite significant. And I can't remember now if I saw this film 2 or 3 times. I know I bought a ticket to see it once, and then I either saw it once or twice as part of the Oscars movie pass that I bought through Regal that I get every year, but probably won't be getting this year because Regal is not open. But I either saw it once or twice with that pass. So I saw it in different cinemas, which was interesting. And I was lucky enough to be able to see it in Dolby when I saw it the first time. And obviously the picture on the screen and the sound was just stellar. It's a single camera shot, and I just think that it was spectacular to look at. It was emotive to watch, and even though it is a war film, and there are some scenes where people are, you know, doing war things, which is why I don't like war films. It's very much about these 2 guys and their journey, and I love a journey film, so that is why 1917 has made it to my list. I think, to be fair, if it wasn't for 2020 being 2020, it might not have made it on my list, because there might have been other films that came out that I actually did get to see. But it's on there. It's part of my top 10. And then another film that I saw in cinemas. So I think I possibly saw this for the first time in 2019, but then I subsequently saw it in the cinema again in 2020, and then I saw it at home again in 2020. So it's going on the list, and I think that people have stopped talking about it, and I just think it's a really good film, and that is Bombshell. I highly recommend this film. I think when I was talking about my kind of Oscars predictions and things like that, I was like, I really want this to win something, but I don't think it's going to, because it's up against X, Y, and Z. But I just thought that Charlize Theron in this film did a fantastic job. Everybody else in this film did a fantastic job, and I really enjoyed it, and enough so that I did watch it here at home again, and I've recommended it to a lot of other people, and so it is firmly on my favourite films of 2020 list. Then we're going back to Disney now, and we have the new movie Soul, which seems to be very polarizing. I really enjoyed this. I would watch it again. I love the way that Pixar has depicted New York City. I think that is just, it's just stunning to look at. And I love the fact that they were like, okay, we're going to tackle the big one. We're going to tackle the meaning of life question here. I think they made some different choices for voice actors in this one, but I think it really worked. I think that having Tina Fey as this like unborn soul is a really interesting choice, and then having Graham Norton as this guy that, you know, in his real life is just completely checked out, twirling one of those like pointy sign things on a street corner in Manhattan somewhere. or even maybe Brooklyn, I can't remember exactly where he is, and then also being this like driver of this ship of souls thing. Like really out there choices for voice actors, but I really do think that they work. I think I can definitely see myself watching this again as part of a Disney day in 2021. And so I really liked it. And if you haven't seen it yet, I have already posted a review of it. So check out my review for my kind of full thoughts and recommendation. But it's made it on my top 10 list of the year. And then another Disney streaming film that you can stream right now is Godmothered. Now, this is one of those... It came out as Christmas as kind of like a festive type of film, but really it's basically kind of set in and around Christmas time in Boston, but it doesn't involve like Christmas or the Christmas spirit or Santa or anything like that. It involves a fairy godmother in training, going to try and like give the last person their fairy godmother wish. And Isla Fisher is fabulous in it. And the message of this film is just wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. It has some like Polar Express soundtrack, which, I mean, who doesn't hear the Polar Express soundtrack and instantly feel emotional? And so, yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. And if you're looking for something to stream on Disney Plus that you haven't watched yet, I really, really recommend Godmothered. And then my ninth film on the list is, again, it's quite a polarizing one, and it is one that I watched for a book to movie adaptation video. So I have a whole book versus movie video talking about this one, and that is Unpregnant, which was an HBO streaming original. So I did myself a week's free trial of HBO and watched this one. I reread the book for watching the movie. I enjoyed the book so much better the second time around, and I thought the movie did a really good job, and it's one that stuck with me and one that I would like to watch again if I had HBO, but I don't think I'm going to be able to see it again because I don't think it's going to come off HBO. So if anyone knows anywhere else that I can watch it other than like renting it via Amazon or something, then let me know, because I really enjoyed this one and I think that it deserves more attention. It's one of these underhyped films, a bit like a couple of other ones that I've talked about. And then I really struggled to come up with a like 10th favourite film of the year, because like I say, I've watched way less films than I did in previous years, and I found it much easier to come up with a top 10 least favourite films. I've had to like bump a few off the list in favour of others. So I decided to talk about two series that I came to this year and loved streaming at home and will rewatch again. One of those is The Imagineering Story on Disney Plus. I just adored that and I am fully ready to watch it again right now. And if you haven't already seen it, it's the story of Walt Disney and the Disney parks, and it's just so good. And I can see them kind of putting on like an extra episode now that we're like almost a year into since the Disney parks like closed and reopened, even though one of them has yet to reopen. I think that it would make an interesting episode for the story, what happened in 2020 to the Disney parks. And then the other one will come as no surprise to you, but you know, I started with season 1 and just finished season 6 the other day, and then watched the making of documentary, and then went back and watched episode 1 again, and that is Schitt's Creek. So if you are one of these people that like, oh, everyone's talking about Schitt's Creek, it's not worth the hype, it's not worth the hype. It is worth the hype. It's such a lovely series. I started watching this one sort of earlier on in the year. Ollie and I were kind of like doing try a first episode, see what we think. He didn't like it, so I kind of went with it. And then season 6 I've like really eked out. I've heard a lot of people saying the same thing, really kind of like eked it out and done like an episode a day, or I was just allowing myself an episode whilst I was in the gym, and then the last 4 episodes I was like, I have to watch them, I can't not watch them, and then watch the documentary, and then watched episode 1 of season 1 again, which was really interesting to like go back and see that. It was Netflix started playing it and I didn't do anything about it, but I cried the whole way through the documentary. So if that's any indication, totally recommend those 2 series of streaming. And I am looking for recommendations of what to stream in 2021. Okay, we're going to go just a little bit faster on the bottom 10 movies of the year, because as I say, I kind of really found it much easier to make this list. A few of these films I did not finish, and that is why they instantly made the list, and I made videos talking about why I did not finish these, and they'll be in that movie reviews playlist. And then a couple of these were just so bad, but I have made videos talking about all of them, so you know exactly what is coming if you are a regular viewer of my movie review videos. Okay, firstly, the last film I watched in cinemas. I don't know why I didn't leave in the middle of this. Maybe I knew it was going to be the last film that I watched in a cinema, and that is Greed, which just was a massive letdown, and yeah, has basically David Mitchell playing himself. I talk about why I didn't like it in that other video. We're just going to go quickly. Then Emma. It was my first kind of like negative review of the year. I did a whole video talking about why I didn't like this one. And yeah, it's just not for me. I think the story just isn't for me. Then one that like so many people loved, and I just couldn't. And that is Eurovision Fire Saga, Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams. You can do better, guys. You can do better. I couldn't. Then we have another Netflix original that I streamed during 2020, and that is Lovebirds. I watched this one with my mum, and we were both sat there going, what's going on now? And it's one of those films that I saw so many times trailered in cinemas, and so I was all prepared to go and see it in the cinema, and I sat through that trailer so many times, and all the best bits of the film are in the trailer. So if you've seen the trailer, don't bother watching the film. It's not worth it. Then now we have three actually films that I did not finish. We have The Binge, which was a Hulu original Halloween type of film. Vince Vaughn, not worth finishing. Then we have Hubie Halloween, which was a Netflix original Halloween offering. Adam Sandler, just couldn't, no. And then we have Sonic the Hedgehog, which was one of the final films I walked out of in the cinema. I saw this one. I think part of the issue was that I either just watched Birds of Prey, or I was just going to watch Birds of Prey, and they were literally like across the corridor from one another, so I just had to walk from one into the other, and so I just either walked out of or was about to walk into a much better film, and so I did not finish watching Sonic the Hedgehog. Then we have The Photograph. I am not like coming at Issa Rae here. I like her in other things, and I find her funny on her own when she hosted SNL. Like, I feel like, you know, it sounds like just her films are making the list, but The Photograph was just dire, and I think the only reason I didn't walk out of that one was because I was like watching a movie before doing something else, and so I would have been early to whatever else it was, or else it was really cold outside and I was like comfy cozy in my cinema seat. Might be one of those films where I had a little nap during it. Was not good, did not like it, didn't find the romance in it at all. Then we have Downhill, which is another Will Ferrell film on the list. Ollie really doesn't like Will Ferrell. I am normally a fan of Will Ferrell, but in this case, I just didn't find it funny. There were so many funny people in this film, and the setting is interesting, but no, just no. I am so gutted that so many of the films I actually got to see at the cinema this year did not impress me. Like, 2020 was not a good year for cinema in so many ways, and I'm kind of gutted, and it keeps being like advertised to me that I watched this one on Hulu. No. And then finally we have Like a Boss, which is Rose Byrne, Tiffany Haddish, and Salma Hayek. And again, we've got some funny ladies cast in this, and it could have been so much better, and it just wasn't, and it annoyed me how it just wasn't. And it was another one of those films where you see all the best bits in the trailer. I feel like you might have even seen bits in the trailer that weren't in the film, that were like funny in the trailer, and that then we didn't get to see in the film. And then since I got a special mention for a little series at the end of my top 10, we're going to mention a little streaming thing at the end of my bottom 10, and that is the Grinch the Musical, which aired on NBC, but I watched it on Hulu and I couldn't finish it. It was so bad. We have like 3 different versions of really good adaptations of this book as movies. So there's like the original cartoon version, the Jim Carrey version, and then the most recent cartoon version, which I think, does it have Kelsey Grammer and Kenan Thompson in it? It's like weirdly cast, but those versions are excellent. And then there was this one that came, the Grinch the Musical. Maybe it was meant to be on stage, and I was like, this is so like low energy. The songs don't make any sense. The costumes look like kind of tatty. I mean, I wanted the pink hair that Cindy Lou Who had, but like, I think, you know, we could all kind of take fashion advice from a Who down in Whoville. So yeah, I would have preferred to just like step away from that and just read the book again, and I would have been much happier. So that gets a little special mention at the end, since Anthony requested my thoughts on that one. Something else that I walked away from. I had it playing and I just walked away. Was not good. So there you have it. I hope you don't mind the long movie reviews video, but I didn't want to do separate videos because there's just not been that many films to watch in 2020. I think we've all been kind of going back to old favourites. On New Year's Day this year, we watched the original 3 Star Wars films basically back to back, and that was much more pleasurable than a lot of the films that I've just mentioned. So there you have it. I need to go away and rewatch Onward and rewatch Little Women, and I need a new series for 2021 though. So if you have suggestions, let me know. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, if there are particular videos that you would like to see in 2021 from me, book or movie or other related, let me know in comments. I am very open to suggestion. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know as well, what was your top film? What films are there any films that you didn't finish watching in 2020? I would be interested to hear. I will be back with more bookish content for you next week, aka tomorrow. So hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Make sure you are subscribed, and thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year.